Now, in our first story, the Media Foundation for West Africa is vowing to go to court if they must to compel the National Communications Authority to furnish it with documents relating to the shutdown of some radio stations. According to the Executive Director, Suleiman Abrahima, the decision by the NCA to charge 2,000 cedis before providing them with the information on the closed radio stations suggests that it is trying to hide something.
Refusal by the NCA to present the information to us and the demand for as much as 2,000. We've started this advocacy. We have engaged the public. The public must know why we are doing this. And that is why we've invited you for this encounter. And we're going to continue with the demand. And as I've said, it may require that we go to court, and that is not something that we would hesitate. Indeed, already we've spoken to our lawyers, and I believe that if the situation remains as it is, perhaps we will go to the law courts for the courts to determine whether the information we requested for, and based on what is available at the NCA should charge us to pay 2,000 before they present the information to us, and whether or not that will not be an affront to the RTI law.
Now, the Media Foundation for West Africa has also been saying that the National Communication Authority is making a mockery of the Right to Information law. According to the foundation, that was not what the media and civil societies fought for, and so it will not pay the 2,000 cedis being demanded by the NCA, as it will set a bad precedent. The foundation says it believes the decision to close some radio stations was discriminatory and politically motivated.
What our aspirations were, the hopes that we had, that the obstacles that we are always confronted with in terms of access to information will be resolved by the right to information legislation. Perhaps institutions are even going to make it more difficult using that same law. How many journalists can afford to pay 2,000 Ghana cedis before accessing such a fundamental piece of information? And our point is that, yes, it may be legitimate to pay a certain amount, but not for basically generating information that is sitting on your database, sending that information via email to a requester. If we were to do that, it will set such a bad precedent. And as an organization that is advocating for media freedom, supporting journalistic work and all of that, if we were to go ahead and do that, the next time it will be you as a journalist who will be requesting for information from the Ministry of Education, from the Ghana Health Service, from the Public Procurement Authority, and you would be told to pay 5,000 or 2,000 because, as he says, a precedent had been set in the Bars branding saga and in the recent case of the Electoral Commission. And that is something that we don't want to do, but at the same time, we insist that public information belongs to the public. It is therefore untenable for a public institution to decide that the way to go about its work is to hide vital information from the public in order to perhaps cover up exercise that they had undertaken, in which they, went about it with a lot of discrimination. And we believe, as I said, that the whole exercise was politically motivated. And therefore, we would continue to pursue the demand for this information, which is in exercise of our fundamental right to access information. And we call on you to join us in this.
Away from that story, checks by JoyNews at some hospitals across the country show that the striking nurses have resumed work. On Monday, September 21, the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association defied a court order restraining them from embarking on unintended industrial action. Patients at various hospitals across the country were left unattended or turned away. The aggrieved nurses were demanding unpaid arrears in allowances. On Wednesday, September 23, the nurses, after an intervention by the Labour Commission, decided to resume work this morning. Here's Manuel Kranting from the Greater Accra Regional Hospital.
Doctor Bisa Pam say, and Yana Banaba Hospital, Timifani Yadon, Uncle. me panic champo, mommy promise, Miss Lano. Nurse be ni ha, doctor from Kwan Eden, a wahan, doctor, ebi a will call will by will, who flow be ampa, or be a yata my eden, Emma. Edja, a chopper, and Namiadum, where you may benefit more. Edja, and some of the Ewahan.
The doctor for man, I didn't.
Doctor for Mamma, energy, and our one. Nurse, dear nurse, be any hand. Aha, and him, Metia Bontin, Hentman, who said, Baby, a beer betray more, and Taffin, I miss me be right inside your home. Nadia, and him said, and Yamiadum, or Maba. What they say, and yet, Papa, and yes, sir. I bind your salon, sir. When we are mobile, na or more. Now, I got this nurse for any one. In Sember nurse, Obiba Woto has say, well, San Canes or Hankebia. Emasa, only panic, sir, where chia, or no being Jina, a form her no bell toy. Well, until yes, Raban, no we are mobile now, nurse for no. Eda. Bibi on shower mama face so many why and swing you. Nurse for no, go in Yamia, I'm na wo.
Akuma na yemi ya na Miba hospital. O yemi ya 5 days ni. Ena nene. Ene ansana minyeska na Miba hospital. Minim so mo struck, but ene me ba hwe se ombeti me anya kwan ya hwe me. Me ba e de omuba next for more or more hwe me. Say a back kitikpa a ba serious this say me wo anu no.
Sign day no e wa atomic e de ne baaye no ya de scan bibia ba omo ka kire me say omo hu hwe enti enfa ni nkofie na me say onipa o yare no mo hu hwe onipa na fie no say de o ye no kra di ni san dru fie e bia ye nya o nya nkwa enti ye pa mo chaw omo si da bi da na dwo no oba no be ka ase da bi say de ne yere ne ye no e de ni kofie nya papa enti ye pa mo chaw omo de omo mane na ho na omo ntriti ni kakra na ade ya chi a eye mind na ne ade no abarage omo se mfa ni nkofie still ene ya se mfa ni nkofie enti sister me kuma no kitanya na otofo aye de ne ba ha de ene doctors ni de me kra maka cha omo se nyame nhira om enti ade ni dru ha ne mind na ene omo de ne call theater na nurses for ni ha na doctors na nko na ne wo ha and that ye me who nurses na afen me who so mo ba me nim ha say me shada nim ha on beba say the doctors yard no sa na mo nso mo be yo mo adwuma mo nso nya me nhira mo ye de nya.
You're live on JoyNews Desk with me, Daniel Dazen. Now, JoyNews has discovered that the Bagri Dam spillage has nothing to do with the delayed construction of the Polugu Dam. This is contrary to earlier claims made by the Minister for Water Resources, Works and Housing, Mr. Atacha, who attributed the non-commencement of work on the dam to the Bagri Dam spillage. Now, the Polugu Multi-Purpose Dam project, among others, is expected to address the perennial flooding in the northern belt. When completed, construction was scheduled to have started in April this year. Thus, work is already 4 months late to start. My colleague, Kojo Yankson, visited the construction site on the back of the massive flooding up north, which has claimed up over 10 lives, destroyed hundreds of farmlands, and has rendered hundreds more homeless. He joins me in the studios with his findings and more. Okay, so Kojo, you interviewed the minister and then you visited the site. Tell us that story.
Well, the minister actually rang into the show when we talked about the people who were dying because of the spillage. He was very concerned. He wanted the people to know that the government was aware and were dealing with it. So he pointed to the Bagre Dam as the ultimate solution, the final...
the Polugu Dam.
Thank you very much. The Polugu Dam as the ultimate solution, the final thing that would prevent all of this flooding and death. He gave a timeline. He said it would be done in 4 years, but that the work had been stalled because of the recent rains and the spillage, because it had affected construction. So we went all the way out there to see the state of things. What we found was that so far they have cleared the road all the way to the site where they will build the dam.
Okay.
They have also set up what you would call a compound. Now, in this compound, they will build a warehouse to keep all the equipment and all the supplies. And then they will also build a residence for all the construction workers.
Which is standard procedure.
That's right. Now, they started this 3 months ago. This is the sort of thing that you would take a month to do.
Yeah.
But 3 months ago they started. They are not done. In fact, all they've managed to do so far is create some cement blocks and set up some equipment. The Chinese contractors have left site. It's the same Chinese company that is building the Tamale interchange, Sino Hydro.
Okay.
So according to the people who are watching over the site, the workmen who are there, the Chinese contractors say that the reason why they have not continued work is because they are waiting for funds.
Oh.
It's not because of the spillage. In fact, I saw with my own eyes that the compound was not affected by the spillage. There was no water damage. It was up on a hill, so it was safe from the spillage.
So help me picture this. And to bring a bit of context to it from what we know about construction, when you go on site, there are some basic construction work that you must do, which will not be a part of the final project.
That's right.
But it will help the project go along.
Yes.
Because this is a long time that the workers will stay there. So you want a place for the workers to stay. 4 years. So you want a place for the workers to stay. You build a small community.
Yeah.
And that's the site you saw that had been fenced off.
Yes. In fact, they haven't even started constructing that small community.
Good, because I kept hearing they will do this, they will do this. And I was asking myself, what have they done?
They have really just set up a compound. Put some equipment in there and created some cement blocks.
And it's interesting because this is the very genesis where any mobilization you are paid, or even the wherewithal the contractor shows that he can start the project, should be able to cover this part of the construction.
Absolutely.
So it surprises me, Kojo, that you tell me they say it's because they haven't been paid at all.
I can tell you even more, because you have pointed to the issue of funding, right? And that is what we were told by the people watching the site. They said that the Chinese contractors have moved on to do the Tamale interchange, and they are waiting for funding. When that funding comes in, they will come back to site and continue. So I started to look into the funding of this. And because I heard Sino Hydro, I thought that this is a project that is being funded through the bauxite arrangement that we have with the Chinese government. So it's almost $1 billion, this dam, 993 million US dollars. So I thought that's where the money is coming from. It's not, Daniel.
Where is it coming from?
It's oil money.
Oh.
Yes, so I took my time and looked through the budget for 2020, and I'm going to read a paragraph from it, paragraph 322. It says, and I quote, "Mr. Speaker, government has made adequate budgetary allocation to begin construction of a dam to hold spillage from the Bagre Dam. This project, when completed, will permanently end the annual flooding in the northern part of Ghana as a result of spillage of the Bagre Dam in Burkina Faso." There's an attendance schedule that shows the money that has been allocated for this year. So for this year, they will be spending something like 84,420,000 on this project. But that money has stalled. Okay,
Kojo, we have been joined on the line by the Public Relations Officer of the Polugu Dam Project, David Pra, for some reactions on what we have found. Mr. Pra, good morning. Thanks for joining us on News Desk. Why has the work stalled?
Good morning, my brother. And then, first of all, let me extend my greatest appreciation for inviting me to participate in the discussion. Let me also extend my appreciation to my brother Kojo Yans for joining us up here to look at whatever we are doing, and also to be with the people, especially in the Northeast and Upper East, who are suffering as a result of the flooding of the area. I think first and foremost, it's important that we set a background to the project very well, so that it will help us to make a very effective discussion. First and foremost, this is a multi-purpose project. 3 major projects put together as one. The first component of the project is the hydropower dam project, which is 60 megawatts of hydro electricity to be generated. The second component is the solar facility, which is going to give us 50 megawatts. That will be the largest in the northern part of the country. As we are talking, we have the Laura, which is giving us about 6.8 megawatts. Initially, it was 4, and then because of discounts and other things, and some profit. And then Calio is giving us almost about 14 megawatts, thereabout. So Navrongo has 2 megawatts. So this is 50 megawatts. So this is the largest solar facility to be established or constructed in the northern part of the country. And then the game changer itself, that is the irrigation project. The irrigation component covers 24,000 hectares square, and it's going to be at the downstream, that is Yagaba Kubori enclave, that is just on the downside of the Pualugu bridge. The project itself, if you stand on the Pualugu bridge, is 25 kilometers in there. So I know my brother Kojo Jansen has been there, and I want to congratulate him. And I want him to note that he has been able to go there because the access road to the place has been reshaped. But for that, he wouldn't have been able to go there, because it was very, very unpassable, and vehicle couldn't have even entered the site. So I'm so happy he has been able to go there. Now, the actual activities. Let's take note. The question is, why has the work stalled? Please, the work has not stalled. That is the first thing that I want to correct. You know, a project of this nature, we have what we call the pre-bricks and mortar stage. I don't want to use the word pre-construction, but it's pre-bricks and mortar stage. Why am I using that word? There are a number of activities that are going on that form part of the construction process. Because this is a multi-purpose dam project. Now, the first 3 contractors of this project are on site. When we say they are on site, 1st June 2020, the contractors entered the site. The first contractor that entered the site were the survey contractors. There are a group of contractors, about 8 of them, who have come together to measure and demarcate the dam boundary. The dam boundary is 350 kilometers square. That is the reservoir. The size of the reservoir, 350 kilometers. The lake that will be formed. You see,
I want to crave your indulgence, Mr. Pratt. I would really have loved to hear the details, the very fine details of all the elements that have been done so far. And I personally take so much interest in that. But unfortunately, we have very little time to go. So if you can just get to the point. I'm sure this question would really put to the heart of it. The fence, the compound that has been created, and we understand is supposed to house the workers, and it's supposed to put some facilities there for the work to go on. Why has that not been done?
No, you can't. That is why, though you don't have time. Please let me.
With the greatest of respect, if we can get to that, so that we can solve it.
No, I will come there. We don't do that. I'm coming there. I'm saying that so the surveyors are on site, and they are part of the general workers. They are measuring and demarcating the dam boundary, 350 kilometers. So they are in the communities, and they are in the dam boundaries, measuring that. That's the first thing. The second group of surveyors, led by Tractable, they are carrying out what we call the extended ESI, Environmental Social Impact Assessment. Currently, what is happening is that we are doing what we call property valuation, which is at the heart of the project.
Mr. Pratt, property valuation is done, Mr. Pratt, with the greatest of respect, again, because of time, property valuation is done beside the work that is being done? It doesn't. We don't need to wait for property evaluation to finish before we can put these. Before we can construct these housing for the workers.
It doesn't happen that way.
I can point you to so many projects in the country which has happened that way, Mr. Pra.
No, this is not hydropower dam project. This is not. You see, the reservoir that will be created, we have to now value people's properties and take them. It's going to form part of what you call the RAP, Resettlement Action Plan. So we will have to move people from the reservoir area. So if you don't go and value their houses, farms, crops, and other valuables in there, that will be buried when we start with the empowerment.
So if you haven't done the resettlement action plan yet, how did we come up with the 993 million that we are going to use to construct this? Because it is my if I may land, it is my understanding that this goes into the costing of the projects. We are supposed to do all of that before the project itself begins. So how did we come up with the costs for the project?
Please, I'm saying that it doesn't work that way. What we are doing is to take value that is different. In fact, that is different, and it does not form part of the 900 million thereabout cost. The 900 million, the three constituents are what we call the hydropower, the solar power, and the irrigation, the actual project. The resettlement is different, please. And then again, when we come to the Power China, they have carried out several activities, and I'm saying that they are on site. But we
didn't find them on site, Mr. Pra. We visited there as you acknowledged. There were no contractors on site. And just for the sake of my viewers, we didn't find any surveyors on site either.
No, you can't see. You can't see. So
we can't see surveyors when we go to the site.
You will not see them because they are in the bush. They are where Kojo went to the campsite. That is not where surveyors. The surveyors are in the communities. They live within the community. So if you go to...
The workers say they've seen no surveyors, Mr. Proud. The workers there say they've seen no surveyors.
Please, I think that you have to give me the opportunity to also explain because of the viewers. If you go to, let's say, Garu, or you go to Napdam, or Zebira, or Zongoiri, or you come to Nungu or Kurugu, these are the communities within which the surveyors live. So in the morning, they leave for their work and then they come back. But let's take note. Where they went is what you call the campsite. If Kojo had witnessed it, the river, the flood has come closer to the campsite. So we advise that, please.
No, it hasn't, Mr. Proud. We actually went there. The flooding is not close to the campsite, as you say.
No, it is.
We just came back from Polugu, Mr. Proud. When was the last time we went there?
Please. When I was at the airport, you were also in Tamale. When Ilyasu called me, and I said that, no, I have to go because we are going to Laura. There will be presidential commissioning of the solar facility there. So we have to go back to Laura to do another work there. But what we are saying is that the campsite is so close to the river and the flood was so massive. You had gone at the time when Bagri is now spilling 400 cubic meters. Now, today, that is what they are doing. Even yesterday, they did 306. So if you look at the cause of the flooding, now it's even coming down a bit. Let's go back to the campsite where you are talking. The Chinese contractors, they are the main contractors of the project. The first thing that they carried out or they are doing is where you pass from Wulugu to Kurugu, the access road, it was very terrible, even unpassable. Vehicles couldn't go there. Now we have shaped the place, extended some of the bridges, though we have other bridges to do. But it's better now to give you access to the campsite. Now, two, the establishment of campsite itself, so that the workers can also stay there and work.
What's the status of progress on that? No, what's the status of progress on the establishment of campsites by your estimation?
It's ongoing.
What's the status? What's percentage, Mr. Proud?
Yes,
What's the status?
We've not finished with that because when we
can you name a single unit that has been built on the campsite, respectfully?
No, we have the workers' quarters.
Which workers? For how many workers? No, let's progress. You see, let's progress with my question so that we can reach the conclusion that my viewers will understand. How many workers can stay on the campsite at the moment? Can you name a number?
At least currently we can have more than 50 to 100 workers.
Okay, when we visited, I don't know the campsite you are speaking about. When we visited the campsite, there wasn't a single complete building there. And let me just tell the viewers that we will show images of this. I mean, we have video. So we'll show the video for our viewers to decide themselves. It's a simple impasse, Mr. Crown.
That's okay. What we are saying is that the construction of the campsites are ongoing. But let's take note, the workers or the contractors entered the site from 1st June. And immediately, a month down the line or two, we have been engulfed with this huge flood. Badly is somewhere early part of this month, spilled 1,700 cubic meters per second. That even turned all the turbines, 6 turbines of Akosombo. The flooding was so huge because of the massive rain and the upper water basin. And then because of also the massive flooding of the tributaries. For example, when you are coming to Tamale, you saw the Nasia, which unusually has flooded so much, and that's the main tributary.
Mr. So I have a final question before we go. Where are the contractors that are supposed to be on site? When we went there, the foremen, the caretakers who are employed by the contractors say they have moved to Tamale to work on the interchange project.
No, not that. The Chinese contractors are also working on the Tamale interchange.
Yeah.
But because of the massive flooding, we have dedicated staff that are working on the Pualugu project. But you couldn't have gone because they are doing what you call hydrological studies. They were in the riverbed. They are testing the soil. They are testing the acidity, the strength of the grounds to hold the dam. We don't want a situation where we build a dam and it collapses. Power China has the niche. They built the Bui Dam. So they are doing very, very effective work. They are testing all the soil, some in-house, some out. So please,
Mr. Pra, I have a question on that. Respectfully, Mr. Pra, please, I have a question on that. How is it that people who do hydrological survey testing riverbeds are moved to an interchange project? An interchange project requires a totally different set of expertise than hydrological survey. How do you move those workers there?
No, what I'm saying is that some of them are in the community. Some of the whites are even in the community. Some are at Walwale. Some stay in Tamale. Others are in Boga.
Whilst they are working on the Pualugu Dam, they are staying in Bogatanga.
Yes.
Whilst they are working on the Pualugu Dam.
You said?
Whilst they are working on the Pualugu Dam, they are staying in Bogatanga. How do we manage those logistics?
No, well, but let me say, you moved from Wulugu. So if the person stays at Walwale, he can still come.
No, my question is that for construction work to go on, and we understand that construction is built gradually from one point to the other, the workers need to converge at a point and work gradually. How do you stay at Bogatanga, Walewale, and work in the Pualugu Dam at the same time?
Possibly you didn't listen. I'm saying that as we are talking, the campsites are being built. We've not finished.
I thought you said that the campsite is good enough for some workers to stay on.
No, somewhere there, even those you called what you call caretakers, some of them are workers. They are working as caretakers. They are looking after abandoned sites. That's the work they're doing. No. That is unfair. That's unfair statement. What I'm saying is that currently, because of the flooding, you cannot enter there. You yourself. We entered there ourselves, Mr. Pra. We went to the campsite. We went up the hill. We used the great road you were talking about. We went up the hill. We spoke to the caretakers who are there. Let me take note. You are saying that the caretaker. I'm saying that they work in the river, and the rate at which the place has been flooded You couldn't do any meaningful thing. So you just exercise patience. Let the flood recede small, and then what we will do the next phase. You know, you are talking about huge.
I just have a quick question, Mr. Pra, and I'm really sorry that the conversation is sounding the way it is. But like I said, if we follow the specific questions, we'll bring a lot of clarity. The caretakers we went to meet are masons, carpenters, welders. What are they doing in the river?
No, but mason, carpenters. You saw that some of them are molding the pillars. You saw some of them. They are molding the pillars. Some are bending.
No, we didn't see anyone molding pillars, Mr. Proud. We didn't see anyone molding pillars.
Did you see pillars, molded pillars there?
No, we did not find molded pillars. Could you help me out here? Did we find molded pillars here?
Yes, there are some pillars that have been molded.
There are some pillars that have been molded. Mr. Proud, pardon me.
Yes, and stockpiled. But the workers spoke to me directly and they said that they have not been working for 3 months.
Okay. Kojo, thank you so much. Mr. Pra, you heard Kojo there. Yes, some pillars have been molded, but that work has not been done in 3 months. That's what the workers themselves tell us.
No. That's not true. that is.
Well, you can take it up with the workers, Mr. Pra, but that's what they told us.
That is absolutely untrue. At least when Kojo spoke with me through Iliasu, I said yes, because the project is for the people. It's for me and him and the people of Ghana. So everybody has access, and we have been talking about it. But what I want you to note is that this is a huge project, first of all. After construction of the campsite, after constructing the access road, after solving some, doing work in the river, that is the soil testing, hydrological and geological studies, you now do what we call mobilization. We are going to establish quarries. We are going to, because this is a huge project that will require a lot of stones. So we are going to establish quarries. We are going to move heavy equipment on site. That is the next phase.
So we are now at the mobilization phase.
Yes. No, mobilization of the materials.
Great.
Core materials.
Great. And I understand because some of these sites, the sites for the materials are actually very far away from the construction sites. From my work in construction, I know that very well. But you said that after the mobilization of the material comes after construction of the access road, which we can say confidently is passable. That access road is there. But then you said that it is going to be after the construction of the campsites, which we agree has not been done, and after the hydrological work, which you said the workers have been moved from there.
We have not agreed. I'm saying that you saw campsite, but we have not finished with all of them because we are going to take at least at a go about 1,002 workers on a site. This is a huge project. So about 1,002 workers on a site. But because of the flooding situation...
Even if we go by what you are saying, Mr. Pra, you want to construct a site for 1,200 workers. Even if we go by what you are saying, only about 10 workers can live there. We can't say... I'm quoting what you said. I asked you how many workers can live there. You said 10. That's what you told me in this interview.
I said that about 50 workers can live there, but it's an ongoing activity. Kindly note that the area that we have even earmarked for construction of campsites are there, in the additional campsites. But unfortunately, because of the high level of the water, and then because we are going to, the core area that we are going to work is in the water. It's very prudent and wise that you stay off and let the danger recede, and then you can proceed. Otherwise, how do you go? People's properties have been flooded. Meanwhile, we need to value those properties. We need to demarcate properly lift what we have on the drawing on the site.
Right.
And in some cases, there can even be some little variation.
Right.
So please, let the flood recede a bit, and then you can now come. I will go on tour with you because multimedia has been very helpful. Let me tell you, when we started with this project, you've been very helpful. But construction of dam is not like possibly one or two things. No.
How much money has been released to the project, for the project, Mr. Pra, for this year?
The amount of money, you were expecting me to tell you that. You know that I won't know. So
I know you won't.
No, yes, you should know that I won't know that they have released this amount. No, I won't know.
You are PRO for the project. You don't know how much money has been released for the project.
No, I won't. The account people will know. If you have asked me, I'm going to find out. But the account people will know that this amount has been released or not. That one I will never know.
Mr. Pra.
You should also be fair to me.
Mr. Pra, thank you very much for joining us. He's Public Relations Officer for the Polugu Dam project. So from Mr. Pra's conversation, the access road has been done. Some work has been done on the campsite and the hydrological survey has been done. And so what is currently being done is mobilization of the material for the project.
Yes, I suppose this then makes us a little bit confused when we put it alongside what we heard from the Works and Housing Minister and from the Vice President, by the way. He also said when he visited the north that the project has been stalled because of flooding. And so it's a bit difficult to put these two things side by side. One thing that we have clarified, however, is the source of funding. And this is important because, you see, this is supposed to be the solution, the final solution. We've given ourselves 4 years to construct this dam, after which there will be no further flooding. People will not have to die every year. But we all thought, well, I certainly thought, that this $1 billion, almost $1 billion was coming from Sino-Hydro, part of the bauxite deal.
But it's not.
It's not. It's going to be funded by government of Ghana, because in the last budget, we allocated some 80-something odd million for this year. And it's from the oil money. Okay. So now the question is, do we have this 1 billion? Is it there? Is it earmarked? Will there be further delays because we don't have money? What is the cause of the current delay? And I've listened to Mr. Pra, and he's been very generous, allowing us onto the site. But hearing him explain the reasons and comparing them to what I saw and heard while I was there, we need some we need some clarification. Yes,
thank you so much, Kojo Yankson. Great work, by the way, going all the way up there. You're still live on News Desk. Let's move to other stories. But remember, this is your election headquarters. Now, the Ghana Committed Drivers Association has kicked against the promise made by the NDC flag bearer John Mahama to legalize commercial motor rides known as OKADA. According to the association, statistics available to them indicate OKADA is one of the means of transport causing road accidents in the country. Speaking to JoyNews to register their displeasure, executive member of the association in charge of accident and insurance, Mr. ANANE FRIMPONG, says political parties must better employment avenues rather than what they describe as the cruel legalization of OKADA.
We are in this country and we are witnesses to what is happening on this OKADA business and through the carriage of passengers. I think we are not completely against their business, but we are against the usage, especially with disregard to traffic rules. Even the carriage of passengers is illegal according to the laws passed in 1974. When you look through the highway code, the law was in that no motorbike should carry a passenger, fare-paying passenger, in urban areas. In urban areas. It is through that law that the 2012 LI 2180, they still inserted in with assent from the previous government, that's His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, that OKADA should not be used as passenger or business. It can only be used for courier services, yes, and sending messages across. But we are surprised when I hope someone who is vying for presidency, who signed the 2012 LI, turns himself and then tell the whole country that he will legalize the OKADA. On which grounds? Is he going to formulate new policies send it to Parliament for debate? Or is he going to open driving riders school, as we have driving schools in the country? He just said it that bringing up any good plans. It is just a political talk. And we will not, this has even gingered the OKADA riders now to misbehave more because they have a backbone now. Improving the road network and others will not be a 1-day wonder. It will take time because construction, even 1 kilometer of road, takes a lot of time. So if we are saying that then because the road networks are not good, and then we should allow the OKADA people to. Then if we want the OKADA people to do business, that's why we say there might be regulation that will regulate their movement. We are sending a strong warning to the government, any government, not to legalize OKADA for big business. So not business in general, but for fair paying passengers services, as Tezi does.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Since somebody has made his intention clear, we will not condone with that.
Hi, good morning. Time for some business news. My name is Darryl Kwao. Government is justifying its decision to allow more women to apply for the Coronavirus Alleviation Program Business Support Scheme. Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, Robert Ahomkalinse, clarifies the move by the National Board for Small-Scale Industries and the MasterCard Foundation Resilience and Recovery Program seeks to give more women a space to apply in the process. Now, the 90 million CD fund earmarked for micro, small and medium enterprises is expected to support the sector's operations after being hit hard by the pandemic. There's more in this report.
The Young Africa Works project is an initiative of the MasterCard Foundation being implemented in partnership with the National Board for Small-Scale Industries for micro businesses. The overall goal of the project is to provide employment and income opportunities for 39,000 young women and men. But 70% of the project beneficiaries are expected to be women. The application process, which is currently ongoing, will disburse funds to the qualifying micro businesses after a careful scrutiny and verification process. Here is MasterCard Foundation Program Lead of Youth Engagement, Kafi Mills Odoi.
The Inkosua program with NBSSI, a 78 million investment, Ghana cedis investment, is in line with our ambition to expand across to financial services to Ghanaian-owned MSMEs. As the backbone of our national economy, constituting over 80% of the productive sector, it is our firm belief that enabling access to soft credit and business advisory services to MSMEs, especially those owned and managed by women and young people, is critical to building resilience and providing a pathway.
According to the Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, Robert Ahomkalinse, there are some uniquely identified challenges faced by women entrepreneurs, hence the decision.
Clear. Our businesses are men and women, period. Let's be very clear on that. That is what we are doing. And so when we're looking at these businesses, and I've already stated that the majority of our businesses are already women. But what we do is that when we're going through the process of identifying who gets it, we know that there are some challenges that are uniquely associated with women entrepreneurs. That is where we take account of that and provide a mechanism for that not to be a basis of disadvantage. Not to say we're not interested in our men, we're interested in both. Let's be also very clear here. We have men and women in this country and we support both. But we know in certain circumstances, women are disadvantaged, and those areas is where we go. So please, whether you're a man or woman, apply. It's not just, this is not a women's only fund. Let's be very clear on that. Man or women should apply, and we will support both.
The NBSSI is a state agency managing the Recovery and Resilience Fund and also the Coronavirus Alleviation Program support for businesses launched by President Akufo-Addo.
The Australian High Commissioner to Ghana, Gregory Andrews, has highlighted the need for Ghana's mining industry to be properly harnessed so the country enjoys full benefits. In an interview with Joy Business's Freduho, the commissioner expressed willingness of his government to support our mining industry.
Again, illegal gold mining is something that His Excellency, the President of Ghana, raised with me. Actually, illegal gold mining is stealing. It's stealing from the people of Ghana, and it's also really bad for the environment because the illegal gold mining isn't subject to the same strict environmental and community standards. So, look, the Australian mining companies, I think the key point is Australian mining companies are some of the most reputable in the world with some of the best expertise in the world. And so we can really support Ghana with strong, legitimate mining at the same time as helping the government deal with and strongly supporting the government of Ghana dealing with the illegal gold mining.
And that's it for business. We've got the latest in sports coming up with George Ado Jr.
It's time for sports, and I promised George that when he comes on air today, I'll start with a round of applause. George,
round of applause.
Congratulations.
The number of things, let me ask you which of them, because one, Kai Havertz hit a hat-trick yesterday, his first senior hat-trick for Chelsea, as Chelsea beat Barnsley by 6-0.
You know that's not it.
That's not it, you're sure?
So go to the next one.
Well, the fact that Chelsea is looking good, the next game against West Brom, congratulate us for that.
No. You are looking good for a reason.
Good reason.
For a reason.
That Chelsea have found an option to keep her with the Balaga. Or the fact that Edward Mendy has been signed.
Edward Mendy has been signed.
Yes,
finally.
Yes, finally. Edward Mendy completed. It's been officially announced by the club.
Great.
So officially Chelsea will now have a proper goalkeeper or number 2 or number 1. Now I'm saying this because so Chelsea has options in the goalkeeping department.
In the goalpost, yeah.
And you will have realized that even in yesterday's game, it was Caballero who was in the post for Chelsea. Chelsea won that game. So the question is, what is Chelsea going to do with Kepa Arrizabalaga? Let's try and sort out the issues. Now, Kepa Arrizabalaga is on a very long contract with Chelsea. He signed for 7 years. It doesn't look like he's going to leave the club. I don't know if there's going to be a loan option for him because as a young player, a young goalkeeper, you want to be in the thick of things. You don't want to be a second choice goalkeeper. So far as Lampard is concerned, he's got an option. Exactly. He's got something that will keep Kepa Arrizabalaga very active and wanting to give his best. Long term, you could make the case for Kepa Arrizabalaga. He may come through in some 2 years or 3 years or maybe a year. He perhaps needs to stay back and reorganize and maybe move away from the toxic environment because so much of what he does these days is under so much scrutiny. So just because of that, you could say that, well, he still's got a future with Chelsea. But the question is, Edouard Mendy comes in with a lot of expectations on him as well.
That's true.
And right
this
from
is
day one,
yes, who is Senegalese.
Yes.
He's played all his football in France.
Yes, and he's coming from Peter Cech's former club, Rennes. And Peter Cech is one of the guys leading this charge and saying that, I think this guy is good. I think this guy has what it takes. He's taller than Kepa Arrizabalaga. He's a 6-footer. Clearly, he has longer reach. So you expect him to do a lot of the job. But it's not as easy as we sit here and say, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5.
1 plus 1 isn't always equals 2.
It's actually all about what he's going to do when he's given the opportunity, when he gets into it. So let's see. Because of the mistakes that Kepa Arrizabalaga made in the last game against Liverpool, I'm sure the rank and file at Chelsea were just hoping that this would be done. Because right after the game, they announced that a deal had been agreed. So the news for Chelsea fans is that Edouard Mendy is in. So
West Brom, will he come in West Brom?
We don't know. It could be, because looking at the way they've done the business, this could be one of the options for Chelsea in the game where they decide that, okay, let's give Edouard Mendy the opportunity to go through it. So that's that's one. Luis Suarez as well has been crying all the time. He has to join Atletico Madrid. That's the other story inside that. As we were doing the transfer story, Luis Suarez has been crying. He's got to join Atletico Madrid. That's what we told you about the story yesterday.
He doesn't want to go.
Yeah, obviously. But I'm sure when we come up with the other stories, you would see that a lot of guys are on this and talking about Edouard Mendy, and the Chelsea fans who have had their prayers answered are on. And the question is, we hope that this guy gets the job done ultimately.
I actually do not pity. I'm not envious of him. I do not envy him at all because it's a huge task.
There's one good story I'll tell you about.
In 30 seconds, sure.
Yeah, in 30 seconds. In the Carabao Cup yesterday, Arsenal beat Leicester City by 2-0, but it was 1-0 if you think about it from the Ghanaian perspective. Daniel Amate, who's been out for 2 years because of injury, played yesterday, and it's good news. It means he could find somewhere